Now, immunity from the indictment's charges. The allegations in the indictment implicate the Article 2 interest in vesting authority in a new president and the citizenry's interest in democratically selecting its president. The indictment alleges that the asserted official actions at issue here were undertaken by former president in furtherance of a conspiracy to unlawfully overstay his term as president and to displace his duly elected successor. That alleged conduct violated the constitutionally established design for determining the results of the presidential election, as well as the Electoral Count Act of 1887, neither of which establishes a role for the president in counting and certifying the Electoral College votes. The alleged conduct also violated Article 2's mandate that the president holding his office for during the term of 4 years. The 12th Amendment reinforces the discrete nature of a presidential term, explicitly providing that the term of the president and the vice president shall end at noon on the 20th of January, and the terms of their successors shall then begin. Upon the expiration of that time for which he is elected, a former president returns to the mass of the people again, and the power of the executive branch vests in the newly elected president. The president, and then there's the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. It's talking about one person here. The president, of course, also has the duty under the Take Care Clause to faithfully enforce the laws. This duty encompasses following the legal procedures of determining election results and ensuring that executive power vests in the new president at the constitutionally appointed time. To the extent former President Trump maintains that the post-2020 election litigation that his campaign and supporters unsuccessfully pursued implemented his take care duty, he is in error. Former president's alleged conduct conflicts with his constitutional mandate to enforce the laws governing the process of electing the new president. The public has a strong interest in the fundamental principle. The public has a strong interest in the foundational principle that foundational principle of our government that the will of the people, as expressed in the Electoral College vote, determines who will serve as president. The electors' vote shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be president. To justify and check the president's unique authority in our constitutional structure, Article 2 renders the president directly accountable to the people for regular elections. As James Madison put it, a dependence on the people is no doubt the primary control on the government. The Federalist number 51. Thus, the quadrennial presidential election is a crucial check on executive power because a president who adopts unpopular policies or violates the law can be voted out of office. Former President Trump's alleged efforts to remain in power despite losing the 2020 election were, if proven, an unprecedented assault on the structure of our government. He allegedly injected himself into a process in which the president has no role, the counting and certifying of electoral votes, thereby undermining constitutionally established procedures and the will of the Congress. To immunize the former president's actions would further aggrandize the presidential office already so potent and so relatively immune from judicial review at the expense of Congress. Here we have the uh, separation of the checks and balances issue coming up. Executive power has the advantage of concentration in a single head, in whose choice the whole nation has a part in making him the focus of public hopes and expectations. In drama, magnitude, and finality, to his decisions so far overshadow any others that almost alone he fills the public eye and ear. No other personality in public life can begin to compete with him in access to the public mind through modern methods of communication. By his prestige as the head of state and his influence upon public opinion, he exerts a leverage upon those who are supposed to check and balance his power, which often cancels their effectiveness. We cannot accept former President Trump's claims that a president has unbounded authority to commit crimes that would neutralize the former foundational check on executive power, the recognition and implementation of election results. Nor can we sanction his apparent contention that the executive has a carte blanche to violate the rights of individual citizens to vote and to have their votes count. At bottom, former President Trump's stance would collapse our system of separated powers by placing the president beyond the reach of all three branches. Presidential immunity against federal indictment would mean that, as to the president, the Congress cannot legislate, the executive could not prosecute, and the judiciary could not review. We cannot accept that the office of the presidency places its former occupants above the law for all time thereafter. Careful evaluations of these concerns leads us to conclude that there is no functional justification for immunizing former presidents from federal prosecution in general or immunizing former President Trump from the specific charges in the indictment. In so holding, we act not in derogation of the separation of powers, but to maintain their proper balance. So, again, reminding the broad and specific nature. This is an all encompassing opinion. The ruling addresses the narrow instance of this case as well as the broad check on presidential power when it comes to minding the laws of Congress and minding what the courts say in what the law is.